To today's Safety and Health webcast, OSHA Compliant Safety Incentive Programs. Are you leading or lagging? Sponsored by CA Short. My name is Kyle Morrison. I'm the Senior Associate Editor with Safety and Health Magazine, and I'll be moderating today's session. Thank you for joining us. We'll start the presentation in a few minutes, but first I'd like to go over some housekeeping items. The views of the speakers and their organization are their own and do not necessarily reflect those of the National Safety Council or Safety and Health Magazine. Mention of any commercial enterprise, product, or publication does not mean the Council or the magazine endorse them. At the end of today's webcast, we'll have a question and answer session. To ask a question, simply type it in the text box located in the lower left-hand corner of your screen, then click the Submit Question button. You can feel free to ask a question at any point during the presentation. You don't have to wait until the Q&A session begins. We'll try to answer as many questions as possible, but due to the large number of participants today, not all the questions may be answered. However, all unanswered questions will be forwarded on to today's speakers. For basic troubleshooting information, please click the Help button located on your screen. At the end of the webcast, you'll be asked to complete an evaluation survey, and I'll talk a little bit more about that after the presentation concludes. This webcast will be archived for 3 months, so after today's live presentation, you can go back and view it. Within about a day, just simply use the exact same URL to access the webcast that you used to access the webcast today. With that, I think we're ready to begin. We have two speakers with us today. Jim Barr is Vice President of Sales for CA Short, and Lori Irvin is CA Short's Strategic Recognition Analyst. Jim and Lori have decades of combined experience in the employee recognition industry and work with some of the nation's largest organizations on implementing employee recognition programs. Jim?
Yes, thank you, Kyle, and welcome everyone for participating in this webinar. During this presentation, we'll be asking a few questions. First of all, are your safety incentive programs OSHA compliant? Are you leading or lagging? Also, are your employees fully engaged in your total EH&S processes? Does your facility have an effective safety culture? One way to improve the effectiveness of your safety process is to change the way you measure it. Measurement is an important part of any management process and forms the basis for continuous improvement. Measuring safety performance is no different. If you don't measure it, you can't improve it. What you want is to measure both the bottom line results of safety as well as how well you're doing at preventing accidents, injuries, and incidents. For the next few minutes, we'll explore how to properly structure your safety incentive program with the emphasis on behavior-based, proactive approach to accident prevention. The goal is to provide some guidance in creating an engaged employee safety culture within your workplace. First of all, just a brief history of safety incentives. When the industry became more aware of workplace injury statistics back as far as the early 60s, the idea of providing incentives to reduce accidents was introduced. Then traditionally, for the next 30 to 40 years, safety was measured by analyzing what is not safety. For example, injury statistics occurring at each plant site. Some of the most common types of milestone incentives utilized lagging indicators. They measured work hours, days, years without an LTA or OSHA recordable. Others measured injury performance as in injury frequency and severity, first aid injury rate, and workers' compensation costs. This measurement system uses historic data, trailing or lagging indicators, leading to after-the-fact solutions. They exclude any preventive or predictive criteria that were proactive and behavior-based, utilizing leading indicator activity. Many times, these programs were all or nothing, meaning that these types of incentive programs had the high potential to create non- or under-reporting, and their successes or failure was based on historical data, lagging indicators. So what exactly are lagging indicators? Let's define them for a second here. First of all, lagging indicators measure a company's incidents in the form of past accident statistics. And another definition, lagging indicators are the traditional safety matrix used to indicate progress toward compliance with safety rules. So what are some of the disadvantages of lagging indicators? First of all, the data is historical. They focus on injuries. If injuries occur, it's too late to prevent them. With a focus on lagging indicators, they have the potential to encourage non- or under-reporting. These are bottom-line numbers that evaluate the overall effectiveness of safety at your facility. They tell you how many people got hurt, how badly, and how much it costs. And then also, lagging indicators don't tell you how well your company is doing in preventing accidents. So how do we solve the lagging indicator problem? First, we consider our definition of safety. Traditionally, safety has been thought of as the avoidance of incidents, accidents, and injuries. We need to see the flip side and recognize that safety is the state of being safe. It's more about behavior than an outcome. I like the example that I read from an article called OSHA Crackdown Makes Leading Indicator Matrix a Necessity by Glenn Demby. This was first published on Safety Smart Compliance in April of 2012. This illustration gives the safe driver illustration. When we talk about being a safe driver, we generally mean somebody who has not been in an accident, has not received a speeding ticket, and has low insurance rates. Even though these are good outcomes, they don't necessarily define the person as a safe driver. These outcomes could just as easily have been accomplished as a result of luck. On the flip side, good drivers don't necessarily become bad ones just because they get into an accident that wasn't their fault. The truly safe driver is the person who engages in safe driving behavior, who uses turn signals, checks the blind spots when changing lanes, maintains the recommended distance behind the car, in front, and so forth. Now let's look at the definition of leading indicators. From Kyle Morrison, the Senior Associate Editor of Safety and Health Magazine in the January 2014 issue, defines leading indicators are pre-incident measurements as opposed to lagging indicators, which are measurements collected after an incident occurs. And another definition of leading indicators, this is from the Campbell Institute of the National Safety Council in 2013. Leading indicators are defined as proactive, preventive, and predictive measures that monitor and provide current information about the effective performance, activities, and processes of an EHS management system that can drive the identification and elimination or control of risks in the workplace that can cause incidents and injuries. So, why use leading indicators? Leading indicators are focused on future safety performance and continuous improvement. These measures are proactive in nature and report what employees are doing on a regular basis to prevent injuries. A proactive plan measures activity and performance, not just results. It should be designed to encourage employee participation and engagement in the entire EH&S processes. The end result will be to identify, control, and eliminate the potential risks of accidents and injuries before they occur. Some examples of leading indicators we have here, and these are just a few. Reporting near misses. That seems to be one that's most common. Safety suggestions, volunteering to give safety talks, safety audits and inspections, training, preventive maintenance tasks, safety committee meetings, housekeeping, and then a few more that are very popular right now are the on-the-spot recognitions for identifying employees' proper use of PPE or proper use of lockout tagouts. When using leading indicators, it's important to base your matrix on impact. Don't just track the number and attendance of safety meetings and training sessions. Measure the impact of the safety meetings by determining the number of people who met the key learning objectives of the meeting and training. On-the-spot recognition for doing the right things is very popular. This expresses management's commitment to the positive reinforcement element of your program, which is very important to its success. For maximum effect, on-the-spot recognition should be done in front of peers. Here's a few things that leading indicators should do, and this is some best practices for using leading indicators. Aubrey Daniels is a well-known author and speaker. He's also known as the father of performance management. He says that companies dedicated to safety excellence are shifting their focus to using leading indicators to drive continuous improvement. Lagging indicators measure failure. Leading indicators measure performance, and that's what we're after. These criteria will help you track leading indicators that will impact your lagging indicators. And he lists a few there. What they should do is allow you to see improvements in performance so you can measure them. Measure the positive, what people are doing versus failing to do. Enable frequent feedback, be credible, predictive, be constructive, be clear in what needs to be done, and then track the impact versus intention. How Caterpillar used leading indicators to create world-class safety by successfully transitioning to a culture that utilizes leading indicators for safety. They utilized a safety strategic improvement process that emphasized leading indicators of safety. When they did that, they saw an 85% reduction of injuries and $450 million in direct and indirect cost savings. The critical elements of this strategic improvement process included, and I have them listed there, enterprise-wide statement of safety culture, a very popular buzzword in the safety arena. Top-down leadership of and engagement with the process, another key word. The roles and responsibilities of everybody need to be clearly defined. There has to be a clear and defined accountability. The program must be consistent in its methods and consistent criteria. And then finally, they say recognition for positive behavior and performance. Now, what is OSHA's stance on safety incentive programs? First of all, let's go back to the mid-90s when OSHA expressed concern that certain incentive programs had the potential to encourage workers to hide injuries from management. As a result of that statement, many safety professionals mistakenly interpreted this concern to mean that OSHA opposed all incentives. Those certain incentive programs were most certainly the all-or-nothing type milestone award programs recognizing only lagging indicators measuring historical data. In these statements, Dr. Michaels, who is the Assistant Secretary of Labor for OSHA, makes OSHA's position clear that they do support programs that focus on proactive, preventive, and predictive measures. He states that OSHA does support programs that reward workers for engaging in behavior-based and hazard abatement activity with the emphasis on positive worker involvement in the EH&S processes. He also states that by working cooperatively with the VPP partners, they can demonstrate that good incentive programs, which again emphasize positive worker involvement in safety and health activities and conscientious hazard reporting and correction, can be one element in an effective injury and illness prevention program. Additionally, Dr. Michaels states that OSHA recognizes that incentive programs can be a useful means for improving safety if they incentivize workers to identify hazards, participate in training, or participate in investigating near misses. Davis Lane, who is formerly the VPPPA's executive director, is now a senior advisor, and he concurs with OSHA's position by stating that good incentive programs feature positive reinforcement for demonstrating safe work practices and taking active measures in hazard recognition, analysis, and prevention. According to the Executive's Guide to Safety published by the National Safety Council in 2009, they state that a world-class safety organization has a plan that includes safety rewards and incentives. It's important to know that your safety incentive program should not stand alone. It's not the magic bullet that's going to solve all your safety problems. It needs to be regarded as a motivational and awareness tool, one piece of your comprehensive EH&S program. It should be designed to bring to the highest level of awareness all the pieces of your safety pie. Your benefits will be increased employee participation or engagement in your total EH&S processes and enhancing your safety culture. Some key words to remember. Engagement. Get all the employees engaged or involved or participating in your total EH&S processes. When that occurs, then you will create and maintain a safety culture in your workplace. So by implementing a properly structured safety incentive program with the emphasis on the proactive approach to accident prevention, you will send a credible message creating an engaged employee safety culture within your workplace. In 2013, Gallup did a study on companies that had an engagement culture. Here are some of the benefits companies in the top 25% of employee engagement realized compared to companies in the bottom 25%. So you can see these statistics are pretty impressive for those that do have a high level of employee engagement. 21% higher productivity, 22% higher profitability, 41% higher quality, 48% fewer safety incidents, and 37% reduced absenteeism. Lori is going to talk a little bit more about employee engagement. Lori?
Thank you, Jim. For many years, companies have struggled with employee engagement. What is it? How do I achieve it? So let's look at the best question. Why employee engagement? In a Molson Coors study, it was found that engaged employees were 5 times less likely than non-engaged employees to have a safety incident and 7 times less likely to have a lost time incident. Employee engagement is designed to ensure that employees are committed to the organizational goals and values, motivated to contribute to organizational success, and are able at the same time to enhance their own sense of well-being. Employee engagement must go both ways to fully obtain the best results. Organizations must work to engage the employee, who in turn has a choice about the level of engagement to offer the employer. Each reinforces the other. An engaged employee experiences a blend of commitment to the company, job satisfaction, job involvement, and feelings of empowerment. So the obvious question today is, why wouldn't you choose to engage your employees? We currently have 10 elements that we feel need to be included in a successful program and ways to create an engaged safety culture. We're going to go through these today and briefly discuss those. Simple and well-defined rules sets a strong foundation for your program and encourages participation. If the customer wants a program to produce results, the participants need to know and understand the rules, what they need to do each month, and how to earn their awards. Complicated and too many rules confuse your participants of the program and discourage participation and reduce awareness. Number 2 is the accrual design-based program. This promotes goal setting and maintains the highest level of awareness. With accumulative designs, participants can earn points each month that they can accumulate them for awards of higher value. This engages the employees to set goals that are higher goals, and they can pre-select an award of what they want and what they can use. Each month they get closer to the goal. This will increase the awareness of your rules of the program and what they must do to earn those points. The closer they get to the goal, the more excitement, anticipation, and engagement of earning their award builds, which further increase awareness into the program. The third thing that we talk about is short-term recognition periods. This will compel the participants to stay focused on the safety goal. W. Edwards Deming, the noted industrial psychologist, made a statement years ago that everyone agrees with, the longest period of time that anyone can effectively concentrate on a goal is 30 days. So let's think about that. Many times companies build programs that promote 12-month goals. So obviously, coming back to that, a year away is not on your mind. There's no awareness. You think about your vacation, you think about Christmas, you think about holidays coming up. 6 months away may come to mind, but I doubt it. There's still little to no awareness. 3 months out, you're still thinking about it more frequently, but not focused on it to start planning on your achieved value. So there's some awareness there. 30 days away, I'm planning, I'm building, I'm shopping, I'm packed, I'm ready to roll. The fact that I'm thinking about it every day is obtainable and it's reachable. So it's top-of-the-mind awareness. The next step is individual recognition. This allows your company's safety objectives to be achieved one employee at a time. The economic impact on the job accidents and injuries, not measured in group, corporal punishment is not acceptable in workplace safety. Keep that in mind. If an individual employee are expected to work safely and comply with corporate safety policies and procedures, then they should be recognized as individuals for their achievement. Some peer group recognition as a team or a department can be added as a bonus, but the focus must always be on the individual. This eliminates the tendency to non-report or hide injuries, which the peer group and the all-or-nothing program encourage. With individual recognition, the participant may not earn points for that month, but is right back in the program the following month with a refreshed and a renewed awareness of the program. Human interaction and peer recognition is huge. It adds meaning to the goal achievement at the presentation event. The safety points are on-the-spot award cards each month. This is what participants earn and receive. Awards should be presented by a manager or a supervisor each month in a meaningful presentation in front of their peers. Maybe you have a monthly safety meeting or a toolbox meeting. This forces management to recognize participants for their safety achievements with a personal attaboy or attagirl. Each time awards are presented, it should be an event. Let's talk about useful and desirable awards. How many people have received numerous T-shirts and ball caps and coolers? So with useful and desirable awards, this allows diversity-rich participants to choose an item they want, need, or can use. It also adds choice adds memory and a trophy value that they can relate back to your company. Every workplace consists of a variety of ethnic diversities, cultures, ages, genders. There's no way that one award can please everyone. So by allowing participants to browse through an award catalog or an online website with hundreds of award choices, they'll zero in on that one item they want, they need, and probably couldn't go out or wouldn't go out and get it without another option. This will be their choice because that's what they have and they will value that. It promotes goal setting, creates excitement, and increases the awareness levels. Another important factor that we work into our 10 elements is that family involvement. It adds enthusiasm, motivation, and value and brings safety awareness home, where so many times it's left out of the picture. The participant's family is very much part of his or her job because the family shares at least a third of the day with your employees and away from the job. The job represents their livelihood, income, and future security. Family involvement in the program not only includes selecting awards, but it also brings home the company's message of importance of working safe and engaging in the safety activities. next step we're going to look at is immediate gratification. That connects the achievement to the award. As close to the end of the month as possible, awards should be presented. This connects the achievement to the award. I've accomplished my company's goals for the month, and within a few days, I'm going to get recognized with my award. Imagine your birthday is on the 31st of the month, and you get your cake, and the presents are on the 23rd of the next month. You lose that engagement, so that immediate gratification. Next is positive reinforcement and continuous communication. This strengthens the safety message and emphasis of the importance of awareness, and it maintains that high visibility that you're looking for. Participants respond positively and to positive reinforcement. Many times you hear safety professionals say, we pay our employees to work safe. We fire unsafe workers. It's their job to work safely. This sends a very negative message to the workers. Everything about a program should be positive, focusing on the successes and the failures. The program should be highly visible by promoting it in newsletters, bulletin boards, flyers, etc., and always focus on those positive reinforcements. That rolls straight into the management support as well. It promotes the program awareness from the top level and encourages employees' engagement and awareness. It's a fact that when top management endorses and promotes a safety program, workers are more apt to buy into it and participate. Top management at the site, whether it's at the president or CEO level, plant managers, etc., should always communicate the importance of the safety program and support of the program. So keep that in mind when you're working on building a program, that you try to include the 10 elements, and I can assure you will see a more engaged safety culture. Our next step is to look at a sample program. A sample program that we're looking at currently is a points-based system. It focuses on the monthly individual safety, proper use of PPE, that's a positive work behavior, attending monthly safety meetings, reporting confirmed near miss. People are now rewarding for that. It can save companies thousands of dollars to find out about those near misses before they happen. Complete safety audits. And then, of course, there's still the no OSHA recordable. If you notice, it's on the lower level of that spectrum. You can still work in quarterly individual safety, primary focus being on your monthly individual safety, and on the spot is very key. If you're called on the job going above and beyond to prevent an accident or any superior behavior, you will be awarded with an on-the-spot recognition card. Non-reporting has always been a concern when building and implementing a safety incentive program. The first step is to address non-reporting in the beginning. By focusing on short-term goals and individual recognition, you take a very high-pressure equation out of your program. When you have long-term goals, there is always a way fear of the non-reporting will be there. The fear of having to be the one person that has to come forward and say he or she is the one who's ruined it for everyone else. That peer pressure is not present when you work on an individual and a smaller group-related recognition and also included in shorter recognition periods. By holding each person responsible for his or her own actions, by shortening group goals to a quarterly basis, there's always a chance for redemption. And, of course, we always encourage that you try to work the 10 elements of recognition into any program that you have if you choose to work with CA Short Company or any other safety recognition company within the marketplace. CA Short Company offers a wide variety of complete safety incentive and recognition programs. From state-of-the-art points-based systems to a milestone program, CA Short can assist you in analysis and goal setting, safety culture reviews, best practices and OSHA concerns, industry-specific recommendations, budget recommendations, on-site consultations, ongoing support, and quarterly program reviews. A key point to remember through everything we've discussed today is that OSHA is not truly against safety incentive programs. OSHA objects to programs that discourage workers from reporting accidents or injuries. But by building a proactive safety incentive program, focusing on leading indicators and creating a safety culture, you are on the path of success. I'm going to turn it back over to you now, Kyle, and thank everyone for your time today.
All right, great. Thank you, Lori and Jim, for that wonderful presentation. Before we start into the Q&A, I want to remind everyone of the short evaluation survey I mentioned at the top of the hour. I'm pushing it onto your screen right now. It should be appearing. We ask you that you consider completing it to let us know your thoughts. We take your input and use it to help improve future webcasts. So it is pretty important for us that you take the time to fill out the short survey. If you don't see the survey popping up on your screen, make sure your pop-up blocker is turned off. And I just want to remind folks to ask a question, simply type it in the text box located on the lower left-hand corner of your screen, and then click the Submit Question button. We do have some questions in the queue already, so we can start getting to those. I want to start off with going back to milestone-type awards that Jim talked about a little bit. Would a milestone award be acceptable if leading indicators and other behavior-based activities were part of the criteria for the award?
Yes, I'll answer that. The key is not so much what the award is, but what activities and behaviors are required in order to get that award. So in this case, a milestone-type award. Milestones could be quarterly awards or semi-annual or even annual awards. But it would be acceptable if the criteria was behavior-based and leading indicators were the criteria for the achievement.
So, for example, could it be the 100th near-miss report filed? Could that be an example of a positive milestone award?
Well, in that case, that's almost like a lottery-type program, and the lottery-type programs are not the best practice. Mm-hmm. So in that case, you have 99 other people that reported a near miss, but only the 100th was the one that got awarded. So that would not be recommended. Okay.
What about cash or gift cards? Could those be considered effective awards for safety incentives?
Well, I guess the key word in that question is effective. Certainly, any company that provides any kind of an award for safety achievement is a good thing. However, cash or gift cards, which is a cash equivalent, are not the most effective. The reason for that is, and there's been a lot of studies done on that and a lot of independent studies done on the effectiveness of cash or cash equivalent type of awards versus tangible awards. And cash is regarded as compensation. That's what we get when we work every 2 weeks in our paycheck or whatever. It's compensation. It's not an award. Cash is typically spent on insignificant things or on bills. It has no memory value, has no trophy value. Same thing with gift cards. Many times gift cards are never redeemed or only partially redeemed. So the company's not getting the full effect of their budget dollars in gift cards. So it's not recommended that cash or gift cards be effective awards. They are very popular, but the question is, what is popular or what is effective? And I think we want something that's more effective. Tangible awards are useful, functional. Choice equals value. They have memory value and trophy value.
Great. Thank you, Jim. Lori, I have a question for you. You talked a little bit about the sample program. Do you have any data indicating that this sample recognition program is improving safety performance, such as safe behaviors as well as injury rate reduction?
We do. We work with all of our current clients to obtain as much of that information as possible. And absolutely we can pass that along from some of our current clients. If that's something someone would like, please just message us through the question and answer system, and we can get that sent over to you after the presentation today.
Okay, fantastic. Let's have another question. There was a question here about, I believe it was Lori, you talked a little bit about individual recognition as it promotes individual success. What about the idea of teams, maybe small departments? Is it worthwhile to have team-oriented goals and then recognizing the team as a whole?
While we encourage the individual recognition, team goals are still an important part of the program. We just encourage you break those down to shorter recognition periods versus yearly. Look at more of a quarterly basis. When you do a team goal that's quarterly, even if someone has an accident, that gives them a redemption period that they can pick things up and move on to the next quarter to do better and achieve the level of safety performances that you're looking for. I do feel that team goals are still important. At the same time, your primary focus should be on that individual for recognition.
Okay, great, Lori. Jim, kind of a question branching off of that a little bit. Let's say that there's an OSHA recordable goal and the goal is achieved. Is recognizing the team or the group that achieved that goal with a food party or something along those lines be considered a positive incentive program, or does this discourage reporting accidents or injuries?
Well, there again, the award, the food, is not so much the issue there. The team goal, just to elaborate a little bit on what Lori said, is effective in that a little bit of peer pressure is good. This creates the atmosphere of looking out for someone else on my team. If I see someone else on my team performing an unsafe act, at that point I'm more apt to bring that to that employee's attention or to report an unsafe act, because this person may be responsible for me not getting my team incentive. As far as reaching a goal of no OSHA recordables, that can be a part of a program, but that shouldn't be the emphasis and the focus of the program. That can be maybe a bonus at the end of the year if all the other matrix, all the other criteria has been reached, but it should never be the absolute goal and the focus of the program. That would encourage the non-reporting. And food type parties, sure, that's a positive incentive. Everybody likes to have a pizza or a hot dog lunch or ice cream or whatever it is to celebrate achievement. Those are always positive, sure.
Lori, do you have some other examples of some good monthly awards to be given out for achievements?
Sure, and it really falls back to the base of the program that you're building. Many companies look to the electronic platform, which is a points-based system, because you can reward points monthly, and that allows the employees to go online or via a printed catalog to choose an item that they personally would want. You also have ways to do milestone awards. If it's a monthly or quarterly basis, an individual catalog falls into place that they can choose their own award. So there are multiple ways and things that you can give out for monthly rewards, keeping the target on a tangible item that links that recognition back to your company. If they save their points and they're working for a particular item and they earn that new television, when they take that television home, you get a sense of family involvement because the family recognizes immediately that was earned for safety on the job. It also links that back to the company. If they see it in their home, they appreciate that item, and they do link that recognition back to your company versus, an item that once, and I'll use food for an example, you have the pizza party or whatever it may be. once you have that pizza party, they've eaten, and then that recognition is gone. But if you can use a tangible item that truly links the recognition back to your facility, I think you will see better results.
So the points, they're in some regard they can be used or seen as kind of like fund money that, or something, or monopoly money or what have you, that employees could build up to get whatever award that they're gunning for. Then, correct?
Yes, it is an accumulative-based program, which means you have a set criteria, as I showed earlier, that allows you to earn points each month, and also for quarterly goals and yearly goals that they can accumulate and work towards an item of their choice. So it's a great way to motivate their employees. As the employees choose an item which becomes their goal, and they're working towards that goal, they're performing, their performance levels raise, obviously. You have them performing the proper actions you want to see in the workplace each month. And while they're obtaining their goals, you're also obtaining your business company goals and values.
Now the award item, should it or could it have, a company logo or some sort of safety message on it? Is that recommended, or does that matter?
Jim, I'm going to defer that one to you real quick.
Well, again, any type of an award for safety achievement for reaching the proactive goals is a good thing. So you can hardly say anything negative about any type of awards. There are some companies that their company culture requires that awards be logoed with the company logo or a safety message on it. Many times that would be the apparel type awards, the hats, the jackets, the shirts, and so forth, with the safety message on it. That's part of continuous communication, communicating the safety message, the safety goals, the safety achievements to everyone. So it really doesn't matter. That can always be a part of another awards program where employees can choose logoed type merchandise as a choice.
Okay, great. Now, when companies are considering putting together an incentive program, is there a recommended budget per employee for incentives for every year or every quarter?
That's a good question. That's a wide open question. It really depends on the issues, the experience that a company is experiencing right now as far as their losses are concerned. Certainly, if they have serious safety issues, they would want to increase their budget. When it comes to determining what the value of these achievements are, that really is determined by the achievement itself. In other words, the company has to place a value on reporting near misses. That value has to be determined by the company itself. As far as the end-of-year bonuses for safety achievement, many times that's determined by how much maybe they saved from losses the year before. They would share that with the employees in their safety recognition program. For a program to be effective, it does have to have some value to it. Otherwise, employees are not going to buy into it.
I want to go right off that comment, Jim, into a question that someone submitted. They suggest that the current OSHA direction is from a compliance-driven perspective, with companies responding in kind. How can you get stakeholder buy-in for employee recognition given OSHA's direction?
Okay, when we're talking about OSHA's direction, we're talking about using the leading indicator in the proactivity as award criteria. Is that what we're referring to there?
Well, it's OSHA is coming from a compliance-driven perspective. So I guess the question is regarding getting a stakeholder buy-in recognition, given OSHA's perspective of things having to be compliance related.
Okay. I think I understand. Let me answer it this way. As far as OSHA's compliance is concerned and how it relates to safety incentive programs, OSHA's main concern there is that the incentive program doesn't have any elements to it that would in any way encourage non-reporting. So that's why their emphasis in the statements that Dr. Michaels makes is that they can be an effective means of safety improvement if the emphasis is on the leading indicators and the proactivity. That's where OSHA's, as far as a compliant safety incentive program comes in, it has to be leading indicators, has to be proactivity, has to be behavior-based, not just lagging indicators or awarding at the end for not having a safety incident or accident or injury.
Okay, great. Here's another question regarding monthly incentive point-based programs. What kind of time resources should be involved with this? For example, should there be someone in charge of tracking performance actions for each employee?
I'll take that one. That's one of the great things about a points-based system. For example, with our program, you receive a management dashboard that allows you to go in electronically and maintain this data. We have found on average most of our companies with proactive behaviors are look at approximately an hour per month for data input or changes, etc. We work through an electronic platform that eliminates a lot of the time, and we give a way that we can work by exception, an exception-based program, which means if you've got 500 employees and 497 come to your safety training class, our system would only need to know those 3 who do not attend, thus eliminating a lot of the time that's spent on administration. With this system in place, it automatically calculates points and when they're due, and it issues them out on an automated basis. So there is some administrative time with a short-term monthly incentive points-based program. Primarily, you have one administrator, or you can have multiple administrators with our platform that would allow a shift manager or departmental manager to have access. So we have what we call multi-tiered user administration. So there's a lot of benefits to the electronic platform.
Okay, along those lines, there was another question that had concerns, about, supervisors or administrators. They're busy, they have a lot going on. What about employees self-reporting their own positive safety efforts? Can employees, fill out a form or say, I use my proper PPE today, so I should be awarded 200 points. Is that an effective way to go about it?
That is always an option. We have many customers who use a scorecard process, which basically each employee receives a scorecard at the first of each month. They fill in the month's activities that they've performed, and they're turned into a supervisor who then processes those into our system. So a scorecard method could be an individual way that they keep up with their own behaviors.
Okay. I have another question for you, kind of along the same lines that we're talking about. There are some concerns with companies that may have multiple shifts in which, the first shift tends to get the most observers since management and office staff are on site at that time. Some of the other shifts may not have as many observers, and they may not have as many points going out to those workers. How would you recommend ensuring equivalent points are being distributed on all shifts?
I push that back to our management support. They have to have that buy-in not only from the CEO and president level and plant manager level, but down to the individual shift supervisors. That's key in any type program because just because they're on night shift, maybe you don't have as many people there, but the people who are there need to be trained properly to ensure that everyone's being recognized at the same level.
Okay, great. Now, we had going back to the point system a little bit. There was one individual who raised a concern, which is, why should a company spend $75 to go to points that only converts into, say, $50 worth of value? Why not instead put $75 straight into the employee's pocket?
That's a great question, and we address this so many times. Obviously, the number one concern is cash can quickly become an entitlement where it comes to safety recognition. You also want to look at the fact that, and without looking at all the companies out there, most all companies are pretty close to fair market value on items. At the same time, you're not only receiving, and I'll use our programs for example, you're not only just receiving an item, you're also using the management system. You've got shipping costs. You have reduced administrative work on your side that by having a platform, you're not having to maintain multiple spreadsheets and things of that nature. So there's many benefits to moving to a points-based system, and I think many times a lot of companies look as though they're buying an item, not an overall program. And what you need to achieve is that complete program structure and not just a single item that you're looking to purchase. So there's really a difference there. When you're using a points-based system, you are looking at an overall program versus an item.
Okay, great. Thank you. Jim, how would you handle point deductions? Or is that something that should be even addressed in a program? For example, if someone is found to be doing something unsafe, against established programs, perhaps not wearing the appropriate PPE or something along those lines, should they get demerits or should they lose points, or how should that be handled?
Okay, I believe there were two questions that were similar in nature that had to do with point deductions and or demerits and how to handle point deductions, or do you even address them in the program? For example, someone is found to be doing something unsafe against established programs, and there was another question that was similar to that. First of all, going back to OSHA's compliance issues as it relates to safety incentive programs, OSHA made a statement one time that companies cannot discipline employees for having accidents or injuries. Now, they go on to say, and let me qualify that statement, that set off kind of a firestorm of questions. Well, most companies have some kind of a disciplinary program in place if employees violate a safety rule or regulation. So OSHA's not saying that you can't discipline employees for violating the safety rule or violating the safety regulation and consequently then having or causing an injury. What OSHA is saying is that the incentive programs cannot be punitive in nature. That is to say that employees cannot be disciplined for reporting an injury or an accident or an incident. That is a protected behavior. So, yes, naturally, employees can be disciplined, whatever the company's policies and procedures are for a violation of safety rules and regulations, but they cannot be disciplined for reporting an injury or an accident.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jim. Lori, how does visual representation come into play? Should employers promote the use of displaying program metrics on large boards where everyone could see them perhaps in the break room or other places on the floor?
Absolutely. Communication is key within any properly structured safety incentive and recognition program. Using it virtually on your metric boards, digital screens are now coming into play in the workplace. Continuous communication is is one of the biggest parts of employee engagement and awareness. So by all means, yes, it is very important, and I really encourage you to include that in your program.
Okay, thank you. Jim, how do you handle incentives for positions with various levels of risk without penalizing or giving an advantage to high or low risk jobs?
Okay, that's a good question as well, and we see that all the time. Naturally, you have the administrative people that are lower risk, and then you have people in the plant, maybe in production or assembly, that are at higher risk. It's not unusual. As a matter of fact, it's quite common for incentive programs to have a different tiered criteria based on the risk factor. So that doesn't always, it is not always appear to be unfair, because in most cases, employees do recognize that the higher risk employees should be compensated or awarded or incented on a higher level. So again, it's not uncommon to have multi-tiered awards programs, incentive programs based on the risk factors.
Okay, excellent. And Lori, how should employers go about starting up incentive programs? Should they start it fairly small and build it up, or should right out of the gates they try to include all the elements that you talked about earlier?
That's a great question, and we're faced with this question all the time. The perfect answer to that is, the great thing about points-based systems, that choice is truly up to the program administrator. We encourage you start with a medium range of items that can be recognized in the beginning. Some companies come in and they're recognizing 15 and 20 things, and that's great if you're properly prepared and structured to launch a program of that nature and that size. But with a points program, the flexibility is there. If you want to start by obviously recognizing, let's just say 5 proactive behaviors. As you move forward with the program, with the points-based system, you can add new items each quarter or each month and build new items into your program structure. So it's really flexible with a points-based system, and the choice is truly up to you. I do encourage that when you build it, you make sure that you don't put in any complexities such as X number of safe man-hours equals this many points. That can become very confusing, but simple and well-defined values that you're looking for each employee to accomplish, that would be my encouragement.
Okay, thank you. Unfortunately, we are running out of time. I apologize we didn't get to everyone's questions. We received a lot, but don't worry, all of these unanswered questions will be forwarded on to Jim and Lori. Once again, I want to hope that you take the time to fill out the evaluation survey on your screen to give us your feedback. And with that, that concludes today's Safety and Health Magazine webcast. I'd like to thank Jim, Lori, CA Short, and everyone who listened in. Thank you, and have a great day.